Welcome to the Maria Heller Show, on the net since 2000 and still going strong. If you feel like you're not getting the real news, if you feel like you're not connected spiritually, you have found your home. Maria covers a wide range of topics as only a snarky New Yorker can. Straight up, no chaser. No censorship, no corporate sponsors, thus true freedom of speech. Your subscription gives you unlimited access as a member of the smartest audience on earth. Relax and enjoy the education. Now here's Maria.
Good morning, world. Maria here, alive and kicking. Welcome to Awaken with Meria and Monnica. And my co-host, my friend, Monica Sepulveda. If you're not familiar with the type of spiritual work Monica does, get over to Monica, MONNICA.com, and check out her work because her work is excellent. So I want to give you a little plug at the top of the show, Monty.
Aw, thank you, Maria. Good morning.
Good morning. I woke up this morning and I was thinking about, when I was a kid, all the different Halloween specials they would have, all the little Halloween songs. Of course, the song Thriller, who could ever leave that out?
Yeah.
And I thought, here we are in the month of Halloween. Mm-hmm. And, there's a lot of things that go bump in the night. I mean, I honestly believe this world is run by demons. But there are a lot of little weird things that like to attach themselves or play with us. Some of them are playful, some spirits are not. And I thought this would be a perfect time to do a Halloween show on things that literally go bump in the night. Because,
so we can take, get rid of all the stuff that people are afraid of. And I'll tell you one thing right now, don't ever play with the Ouija board. It's a game. It's a game. It's not anything you want to use to bring in credible information.
Absolutely.
I'd rather that you get a set of runes or something, or angel cards to get messages, but not something like the Ouija board. That's like inviting trouble because they do bring in low vibrational frequencies called, little curious, negative spirits that like to play with your head.
Exactly. They'll start off telling you all wonderful things about yourself and your life, and the next thing you know, they're telling you to go murder your neighbor. So yeah, that's.
I'm not. This is not a laugh because it's funny, but it's true.
I know it's true. I've experienced that myself in my younger days, and I was like, "What?" And then I didn't know how to get rid of the Ouija board. So.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of just.
I know throwing it out.
Right. I just kind of busted it up and threw it away so that no one else could use it.
Exactly. There's a new TV show. It's called Evil, and it's with one of my favorite actors. I can't think of his name right now, but he was in Lost and A Person of Interest. Anyway, and he plays like a spiritual demon that's in a doctor, and all his intentions are to again send like black people to jail and younger people. He's like. Oh, it's so creepy, but it's so good.
Well, my favorite show is Supernatural because I pick up a lot of tips on how to deal with demonic forces from that.
Yeah. Well, we know all that stuff already, but it's good that you say that so other people can start watching it too.
Well, a lot of young people, they want to start their spiritual journey and they don't know any better.
Yeah.
So for a lot of them, the Ouija board is their ticket in. And then, the next thing you know, you've got all these dark spirits. I've always found the Ouija board to attract very negative energy. And another thing for the women out there, I went out to dinner with some of my friends and one of the women went to put her handbag on the floor. And I told her, you never put your handbag on the floor. That's where low entity, dark spirits, shadow people, whatever you want to call them, attach themselves to you and sometimes just through your belongings.
Yeah, that's right. Because your purse is your identity. It represents you. And why would you want to put your energy, with the lowest vibrational energy? I'm not kidding here. When I see people at a restaurant and their purse is on the floor, I'll just go up to the lady and I'll just say, do you know that this is really negative energy down here? So I would put your purse on the chair.
Besides gum and oil and grease, let's not leave that out. So if you want to filthy up your handbag, put it on the floor. When I was a kid, I got a very early introduction to the dark forces and the dark side. And I know a lot of people think that that's all hogwash and crazy talk because it hasn't happened to them. Okay.
Yeah.
But when you're 10 years old and you experience real demonic forces, you hear them, you witness them, it's not only the scariest thing in the universe because I was petrified. And when I get petrified, I laugh. When I'm really scared, I laugh instead of anything else. It's like a nervous laugh that comes out of me.
Well, it's probably rebalancing you because laughter does balance emotions. So that's actually your body knows what it's doing.
Well, I guess my body knew what it was doing.
It sure does.
But, as a child, it was, and especially being an empath, being, very intuitive, having a natural gift, being able to see and know what I was able to see and know after my near-death experience. Of any young person, including myself, is terrified of these things. As I grew older and sronger in my own spirituality, I got a handle on it. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, of course, because you got more information. And, back in the day, I'm going to age myself, back in the 60s, there wasn't any information at all. You had to really, 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 just like I used to watch One Step Beyond, because it was all true stories anyway.
Right, who didn't watch it?
Do you remember that one?
Of
that
course.
was way before Twilight Zone, But we learned, and a lot of people say, well, I don't want to pay, to learn information. I'm like, well, the rest of us did.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I spent thousands of dollars doing research to answer questions so I could help people. This is why now I teach lessons to my clients as well at a very affordable price, by the way.
Right.
So I wanted to say that, first of all, if you believe in duality, you live in duality. If you believe in oneness, you stay in oneness. That's a really key point here. So we talk about evil and demons and poltergeists and this kind of energy in your home that you don't want. And how do you change it? Because when I was back in the 70s, I literally woke up in the middle of the night and I couldn't move. My body was frozen, and there was like an evil energy on top of me wanting to have sex with me. And it also happened to my sister. We lived in Santa Clara, California, which is now known as Silicon Valley. And she couldn't move either. So we realized that there was these dark energies coming into our home. And then there was another movie. There was a movie that was released back then called Entity. And it was exactly the same story about this woman. It was a true story. Don't watch it. It'll scare you. Because you don't want to invite that kind of stuff in anyway.
Exactly.
So, but it did happen to me, and as soon as I looked in at this energy's eyes, I could feel it wanting to penetrate, and I just said, who did I asked my grandparent, I said, please escort him out of here. You go to the light, and you stay away from this house. You are not to be here. And in my mind, I did the sign of the cross in his face, because that just came to me. Mm-hmm. And I said, you cannot come here anymore or disturb me anymore. And what I realized is that whatever we say, they have to do. They can't control you at all. So we have to speak in terms of positive affirmations in the morning, which is why I tell people, look, do prayer, send good energy, give thanks, be in gratitude, not just ask for what you want, but, give thanks for it happening before it happens. You have to stay with positive affirmations and not stay with those thoughts.
Right.
I know this because I was watching terrible shows on investigative ID, that channel ID, and it was terrible, and that energy was starting to come through my house. This just happened recently, and I realized, get rid of all that crap.
Right.
It's getting into your head. You're falling asleep on a couch, and all that stuff's getting into your head. And so I saged my home, and wow, what a difference. That's one of the solutions. Point number 2, sage your home. You can buy a little piece of sage. It's like $5 on Amazon or wherever you want to go, and then light the end of it. Let it the embers for a while, and then blow it, and then you'll see it start to smoke and go to each room. And just I do the sign of the cross 3 times, not because it's a Jesus thing, because it has to do with the balancing of the chakras, 1 through 7, up and down, and left to right is positive and negative polarities. That's why I do it. And then I say, absorb all this negative energy in this house and disperse and neutralize it and send love to it. So I did that in every room, and that smell lingers for hours because it's doing its job. It takes about 3 hours for it to go away. And my gosh, your house will shift.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny because when I talked to you a couple of days ago, you had told me that you had saged your house. And I said, what did I say to you? I just saged my house yesterday.
Yeah.
You have strangers come in, you have in-laws you don't like, or you left your door open too long and something you didn't see walked in. I mean, there's a million reasons to do it. And, what I wanted to share, and I got my granddaughter's permission to share this.
Okay.
She's living with me, as you know. And she moved in after she had a breakup with her boyfriend.
And she's gorgeous, by the way. Wow.
Thank you. And she went down to the valley last weekend, and she did see her ex-boyfriend. Because, this younger generation believes in staying friends after a breakup, something I don't understand, my mind can't comprehend. But what ended up happening is when she came home every single night in a row, and this kid usually sleeps like a bomb, okay? She couldn't sleep. She said she was having nightmares about this guy.
Oh, wow.
As it continued to happen, I would say probably for 3 days in a row, I said to her, well, you were in his energy field, and he corded onto your energy.
Yes, exactly.
So you're carrying around that broken relationship and whatever hurt feelings or whatever he threw on you, okay? And for people that don't know, you should know, my listening audience should know, about people cording onto your chakras. So I said to her, later on, I said, tonight, let's smudge you, which people can do. You can smudge yourself. However, you don't inhale that smoke. It's not for you. It's for the spirit world as you're offering. The only time you're allowed to inhale smudge is if you have a flu or a breathing problem. You can take some of it in.
Good point.
But then I went and smudged her bedroom. And, white sage is probably the strongest sage you'll ever burn. I mean, I smelled it in my room, on the third floor. So, so I smudged it well. And then, of course, when she went to bed, I sent her Reiki for a good night's sleep, which I do for myself. And I always sleep like I'm always out of body having a good time. But the next...
I'll bet. Invite me over for a martini, my dear.
Well, I'm usually out there solving crimes with the Winchester boys from Supernatural. Because I know that's my nature in spirit is, to go out and slaughter the demons. So I really enjoy the shit out of that show. But what's interesting is the next day, I said, how did you sleep? She said, Grandma, I slept great. I said, did you have the same nightmare? Because it was a recurring nightmare.
Yeah.
And she said, no, I didn't. So that's just the results of doing something that's so simple.
So simple. It takes just a few minutes to do, and it's so effective. It let you feel so good in your own home, And the thing about visiting spirits, like when I first moved in here about 15 months ago, I kept feeling this male spirit walking by. And I called my landlord. I go, who died here?
Right.
She's, what? So it turned out to be the sheriff that used to live in this home. And I won't say his name. But anyway, so I just told him, I said, I know that you hear it because you like this house and you want to protect me, but you can't come in this house anymore because I don't know you. And so he definitely, I said, you can walk around the perimeter of the house if you want to. I said, but not in the house. The only one allowed in here is my dad, who's passed on. And, of course, my spirit guides, ascended masters, extraterrestrial beings who have helped me for years since I was probably 4. And they give me ideas and solutions and that kind of thing. So, but anyway, it doesn't have to be a bad experience if you know what to do. And a lot of people don't know what to do. So this is what the show's about, is the solutions.
Right.
And for poltergeists, they just like to, disrupt and move things and that kind of stuff. But again, remember this quote, if you live in duality, if you believe in duality, you're going to live in duality, which means good and evil. If you live in oneness, then if you believe in oneness, you're going to live in oneness. So I was telling Maria before we got on the air that I had a vision this morning, and it was like we were all in this water that's mucky and dark, and we felt weighted down, and it's like swimming just to stay above, the water. And all of a sudden there was a beam of light that came from above, and I looked at that light, and I said, I'm one with that light. There is no other reality but that light, and that light is love. And it was like it pulled me up, out of the water completely. And I thought, that's it. You got to stay with oneness. You can't go into that duality because then you experience duality. So I think that's one of the lessons that people they're not getting. They're missing it. They keep looking at the news and all this stuff. And yeah, we want to be informed, but don't get sucked into it. Look at it as an observer, keep sending light to it. The other day, I couldn't believe I did this because you know how much I don't like the man from Germany, the T-man, orange face, Cheeto, whatever,
Demon.
I just said, you know what, I send you love because you're really, really, really sick.
Right. He
And
needs it more than anybody. But I don't think he's
said,
ever experienced love in his entire life.
Never. He was beaten by his own father in one of his classrooms, as a matter of fact, because he didn't dress well. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to send you love. And, God bless you and stay far away from me, and all of us.
Right.
So I did the opposite, and I actually felt freed from it. So I'm watching the news, and I'm detached.
Well, I have to detach, or I can't do my show.
I don't know how you did yesterday's, my dear, but you were on fire. There was so much passion there and so much. I felt you. I think everybody did.
Well, but I know how to drop in and drop out.
Yeah.
I drop in this reality, which I honestly believe is not the real reality.
No, it's really an illusion, like our good friend said. It's
Right.
an illusion.
But
So
before
I wanted
we
to
go,
say bravo on yesterday's show, first of all.
Thank you. It was a whole lot of shit, that's for sure. But one thing I wanted to talk about before I forget, and everybody listening, please pay attention. I don't care what anybody's sexual habits or sex life is like. It's up to you. As long as it's consensual, have a good time. But one thing that I've taught forever is remember that when you have sex with somebody, there's a whole lot more that you can attract to yourself from them besides an STD.
Absolutely, Maria. In fact, that person's energy will stay with you up to 3 weeks. Anytime there's exchange of fluids, that energy will stay with you for 3 weeks. And that's why there's a lot of one-night stands, because the guy will sleep with the girl and he never calls her back because, she could have been going through some negative stuff, and her negativity just, you just absorb that negativity, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, I don't feel good, and then you never call them back.
Right.
That's why you got to take care of your own life, and you got to make sure that you're balanced, and don't go to somebody else just to get a quick pleasure or a quick, fix, because that's like shooting up heroin, And the price you pay afterwards is a high price to pay. If that energy, if you're a woman with a man and he's going through a lot of problems, and especially those that are like cheating on their wives, or those that are like just got divorced, stay away. Big red flag, because you're going to take on all their problems, and you're going to wonder why you're depressed. It's not even your depression; it's their stuff.
Right. Well, I work with a lot of young people. And young people today, and I mean young, we're talking 19 and early 20s, they don't date like we used to, okay? The whole dating thing is upside down today.
Yeah.
So they'll go online, they'll meet somebody they've never met before, they'll go out with them, or maybe just meet them in their apartment, have sex, and go home.
Yeah.
And listen, if that's what they want to do, there's nothing I'm going to do to stop it. But what I do is I painfully explain this to these young people. I said, listen, when you live inside your own aura, your aura is the energy field that keeps your body alive. Everybody has one. When you have sex with someone, your aura blends with theirs. It becomes like one giant bubble. And I said, whatever nightmares, whatever hang-ups, whatever insecurities, problems, mental or whatever, is shared during that experience, because your auras are becoming one during the sexual experience.
Yeah.
So my advice to them is, cleanse themselves right away and never take them home to your bed, okay? Because your bed is your sacred dream space. Yeah. And I just tell them, look, if that's what you want to do, just get a motel room and leave that shit there.
That's right. That's right. But you got to remember, if you're exchanging fluids, they were inside you. Sorry for being so graphic, but
it's not just the fluids. I mean, your aura is not fluid, but people don't realize it's like the little egg that you live in, like those stockings that used to come in those little eggs. And then all of a sudden, you've got scrambled eggs between the two of you.
Scrambled eggs.
Exactly.
I love you. Maria, thank God for your sense of humor.
Well, but I'm a realist. I want these kids to know, how dangerous it could be. And I'm certainly not going to stifle their sexual desires. I mean, sex is a normal part of life.
Yeah. And what if that person is not a good person anyway, and they have lots of arrests and felonies, that kind of thing, and you did a one-night stand with that kind of energy?
Right, or worse than that. What if they were a Republican? So you got to be very careful. Years ago, when I lived in New York, I've never really asked you this, Monica, if you've ever had experiences with Spiritualists. spiritualist is a whole separate group of people. And, when I lived in New York, I studied with a lot of them, and they had some pretty phenomenal tools and tricks, okay?
You call them tricks.
Yeah,
Tools.
well, I call them their bag of tricks, like Felix the Cat's bag of tricks. And
Well, I can answer that for you.
Sure.
I am a spiritualist.
oh, well, there you go. So
I totally studied metaphysics as well, and I know, my first books, my gosh, from the 1920s were Florence Scovel Shinn. She was a metaphysician, and then I'm also an ordained minister as a spiritualist as well.
Well, me too. So if any of you need somebody to perform your wedding, great, but I'm better at funerals.
I don't do weddings.
Actually, a couple of years back, several years back, this young client of mine died. And they asked me to do her funeral service, which I did at a funeral parlor in Mesa, Arizona. And when I was done, first of all, the girl spirit was right up there on the stage with me. I could feel her. Other people in the audience said they could see her. But I did a very uplifting service because I knew her, so it was personalized and very spiritual. I actually played the music of Steve Halpern. I don't know if you remember his work.
Yeah.
But he had one CD that was perfect for funerals. And when I was done, the funeral parlor owners offered me a job. They said, that was the most uplifting service we ever saw. Do you want to work for us? And I said, yeah, no. I said, yeah, no. I said, I'll do this for people I know. But, no, I don't want to do that.
I got to tell you something, because it's not similar, but I dated a guy named Les Moore. Get it, Les Moore?
Uh-huh.
Okay. He was a comedian who was into Elvis Presley, drove a 1950s Cadillac, and he was very short, but he was hilarious, Aries, like me. And he lived in Paradise, California, which is the city that burnt down last year. Mm-hmm. Do you remember Paradise?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well,
absolutely.
he was from Les Moore from Paradise, California, and he was a funeral director and mortician. So one day he took me downstairs so I could see what an embalmment looks like.
Oh, God.
The whole time he was joking with me. Now look at this baseball stitch.
All right.
And I was looking at all these corpses there, and I was like, oh, wow. So it gave me a good, but he was hysterical. He actually passed away. But he was a lot of fun, speaking at Paradise, California, and then his whole town is up in smoke. And it
Well, it was terrible, I know. Well, there used to be a show which people could still look at if you want to, called 6 Feet Under. And
I used to love that show.
The first season or two was great because they showed, the reality of the soul leaving the body, or the souls talking to the undertaker, whatever. But then it became, a waste of time, like they all tend to do, where none of that is being, talked about anymore.
Yeah.
But, when I talk about the spiritualists, I remember sitting with these ladies in New York, and they had, like I said, they had some pretty interesting tricks. Now, you got to get, I was probably all of 30 years old, okay? So this was all like, whoa, this was like fascinating stuff to me. And they had, I'm sure you may know it since you are a spiritualist, they had that tool that they called the trumpet.
Yeah, I used to use it.
Right, where they call in the poltergeist.
Yeah. No, actually, we wouldn't call them poltergeists. We called them spirits. But toilets used to flush in the other room by themselves. And you use that luminescent paint when you turn off all the lights, and it lights up,
Right.
It was made of aluminum, like we use, what's it, aluminum foil.
Right.
We wrapped it in aluminum foil, and then we painted it with that white stuff.
I remember, and then they would call in, spirits, whatever you want to call it. And then I actually saw it myself with my own eyes. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I would say, I must be tripping. Ectoplasm,
you weren't.
the ectoplasm would happen, like, immediately.
Yeah.
And, most of them, of course, channeled, which was something that was kind of new to me.
Yeah.
And I remember there was some big earthquake or something that happened, and this group of women, I would say there was probably 6 or 7 of them, they said they were busy night and day helping those spirits cross over. And they had a system to it. And after 9/11, I called one of my girlfriends in New York, Jackie, her name was, and she says, we're so busy helping these souls cross over, I can't even tell you.
I can imagine.
So, if some people might be listening to the show saying, wow, this is one hell of a crazy show, and probably pretty appropriate for Halloween.
We're addressing spirits, and you've got to be with an experienced person, and don't do the trumpet, okay? Again, just like the Ouija board, you got to know what you're doing. And of course, I'm well trained at it. I don't do it anymore because I don't like channeling and leaving my body and letting a voice speak through me. I stopped doing that in the late 70s. But it's a phenomenon, the way that, you're just sitting here going, whoa, this is really trippy.
Right.
But, this stuff happens. And the key is to this show is we're going to tell you how to not let that stuff happen to you, That's
exactly.
the point.
Listen, it's super important for people to learn about their chakra systems and how to protect their chakras. And you and I have done shows on that before.
Yeah,
but I get calls.
I get your car.
Listen, my car is like a godmobile at this point. But I get calls from people of all ages, whether it's children, whether it's women, whatever, and they're having, some kind of an experience, or it could be one of my Reiki students, or it says they're afraid to work on somebody else. They don't want to catch what that person has. And I said, obviously, you forgot the lesson on how to shut yourself down before you work on someone else. I got a call from a woman whose son is experiencing night terrors. The kid's 6 years old. Mm-hmm. He has night terrors every night, this, that, the other thing. And I was able to, in a session, of course, tell her what to do. Okay, because you can't break that. There are a lot of techniques out there. But listen, I have a client. I mean, he's a grown-up, okay? He's in his 60s. He's a big-time builder in Texas. And he called me because he's contracting to buy this very old building and convert it into a resort. And I've read for this guy for 10 years now, Monty. And never have we ever talked about anything like this or anything spiritual, okay? It's always a straight business reading with him. But when he's describing and telling me this place, I said, listen, I don't know how to tell you this, and you're probably going to think this is crazy. I said, but that place is super haunted. Mm-hmm. And that's when he revealed to me that, yeah, it has a history of being haunted. And I said, well, you need to read the history of that building. And you got to figure out, do you want to promote the resort as a haunted resort, like Hotel del Coronado? I said, or do you want to call somebody in to clear that space before you get started? Mm-hmm. But what amazed me was, in 10 years, we've never talked about that. And then I see that in his reading, and I'm like, should I even tell him this? Is he going to think? Is he going to think less of me? Is he going to think I'm nuts?
We can't hold back anything that we receive.
No, I can't. And I just, kind of let him know. And now really the decision's going to be up to him. Because, here in Arizona, there's a lot of haunted places. I've been in a haunted hotel.
Yeah.
I mean, there are buildings here that are 200-300 years old. Up in Prescott, you got the Hasayampa Inn, which is as haunted as you could get. Mm-hmm. In Phoenix, they have a big hotel, an old hotel that's also, I forget what it's called, Colton, I don't know. All I know is I was in there once and I said, I'm never coming back in here again.
Oh, yeah, I stayed in Estes Park, Colorado. I stayed in that hotel where Stephen King wrote the novel The Shining, and I'll tell you, that place was haunted. But I want to get back to something you said earlier about children and night terrors and that kind of thing. I noticed with my clients, because I studied chakra systems so well, and the third chakra, of course, is the emotional center represented by the color of yellow. So I said, by the way, if your child's room is yellow, they're going to have more night terrors because it opens up their emotional center, and that stuff comes in. Paint their room in a color like a sage or a blue or a dusty rose or a blue-gray, anything cool color or even the pink because it's the highest vibratory frequency of love. Red is human love. But get rid of that yellow, get rid of anything yellow in that room, blankets, everything. And by the way, every single one of them said, my child hasn't had any more night terrors or any kinds of bad dreams ever since I repainted their bedroom and got rid of all that yellow. So that's another, like Maria said, there's a whole bunch of ways.
There's a whole bag of tricks.
That's just another tip.
Well, it's kind of like Supernatural, the show. You have to figure out what am I dealing with and what trick is going to work to get rid of this. Mm-hmm.
By the way, I remembered Michael Emerson is the character in the new series called Evil. It's on CBS. And Michael Emerson is creepy and stuff. He's a great actor. He looks like a geek. He's a great actor. You'll remember him on Lost and also Person of Interest. But I would recommend to watch that show because it shows how evil tries to slip in, and he's working with a psychologist who doesn't believe in anything and also a person who wants to be a priest. So it's a very interesting battle of good and
listen,
evil.
I learned the hard way, which is, I think, the only way any of us learn, the hard way.
Especially teachers.
That things that I just automatically discounted as real. Okay, when I was younger, I was very idealistic. I was stuck, in one direction. And there were a lot of things I thought were ridiculous, not real. And anything from aliens to flying saucers, I just thought was ridiculous. However...
No, I didn't. I loved it.
Well, however, when you think it's ridiculous because it's not part of your current reality, it has a funny way of showing up, and then you have to say, holy crap, I guess these are real. And sometimes through experience, you find that to be the case. And of course, the regular person, your first reaction is going to be fear and terror. I mean, because it's outside your realm of reality. But then after a while, you start to get a deeper understanding. And when you lose that fear, that's when you have control back.
Absolutely, because it's a choice. Fear is an absence of love, so duh, Maria, I'm going to ask you a question, though, because this is something that's happened to me that I haven't been able to figure out.
All right,
when I was probably about 8 years old.
Hold on. I want you to hold that thought, because we need to go to break. So stay with us so we can all hear Monica's question at the same time. Boo, okay.
Hi, this is Monica Sepulveda of Wake Up with Meria and Monnica. You can hear our show every third Tuesday. And we give you tools, solutions, and the way to change your life forever. Each morning you can either choose fear, worry, hate, anger, or you can just choose love, which balances everything and changes the trajectory of your life. Maria's show is so amazing. You need to tell another person. For the small amount of money that you pay for a subscription and the value that you receive in return with her guests who are unmatched, with her wisdom, with her reports of what's happening on this planet, how to change it, and with that sense of humor, oh my gosh. Her Reiki sessions blow my mind. Every time she has sent me some Reiki, it works. I heal. And I'm just blown away by this old soul, Maria. I'm glad to call her my friend. I hope that you book a session with her for a Reiki session or for a reading because you will not be disappointed. But most important, tell a friend about her show. Take care and make it a great day. It's a choice, Bye.
Hi, this is Maria Heller. If you're enjoying this show, please consider listening to the rest of it, along with hundreds of other hours of education, by a small subscription on my site. Get over to meria.net, meria.net. You are the only thing that supports this show. There's no corporate control, and there's plenty of education on site. So please consider either a subscription or a donation to keep the work going. There are too many alternative voices out there that are being silenced because of lack of support. So if you don't want MSM to be the only mind-controlling news out there, please consider supporting the people that support you and help us all save something for the future for our children. Thank you so much.